Just over 7 weeks to Election Day, and the voting has already begun in the battleground state of North Carolina. Georgia and Minnesota start this week in an election that will break new records for early voting and vote by mail. And with the days ticking by, President Trump still fighting from behind, dealing with the fallout from those explosive Bob Woodward tapes. Our brand new poll with Ipsos indicates it's taking a toll on the president. 65% of Americans now disapprove of how the president has handled the pandemic. 67% think he acted too slowly. Less than 1 out of 3 trust what Trump says about the pandemic, compared to 51% who trust Joe Biden. Let's take that straight to the Trump campaign. Senior advisor Jason Miller joins us this morning. Jason, welcome back to This Week. Those are some pretty harsh judgments about how the president is handling this crisis. How do you turn it around?
Well, George, good morning, and thank you for having me. What you didn't mention is that Americans very much trust President Trump to help us recover with the economy, and Americans also believe that President Trump is the one who's best positioned to lead us to a vaccine, something that President Trump, I believe, will deliver this calendar year and a return to normal in 2021. But, George, one other thing I got to point out that we didn't hear from in the intro, there is a reason why Bernie Sanders and other Democrats are so concerned about Joe Biden and the lack of enthusiasm with his candidacy. Last night, I was with President Trump in northern Nevada, and what we saw were thousands of enthusiastic people. And listen to this, George, over 20% of the people who are at that event didn't even vote in 2016. That's why our internal numbers show us actually winning Nevada, feel very well positioned. It's another blue state we're going to flip this year.
I'm going to ask Simone Sanders about that, but what do you make of the criticism that so many people are showing up at those rallies without masks?
We take safety very seriously, George. That's why people are given masks when they come in if they don't already have them. We do temperature checks. We have plenty of hand sanitizer. We encourage people very strongly to wear the masks. And this is something that President Trump takes very seriously, and we're good to see a lot of folks that are taking our direction here.
As we approach 200,000 deaths from the pandemic, the president's new refrain is we're rounding the corner on the virus. Here's what Dr. Fauci said about that on Friday.
I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with that, because if you look at the thing that you just mentioned, the statistics, they're disturbing. You know, we're plateauing at around 40,000 cases a day, and the deaths are around 1,000.
So is the president still downplaying the severity of the virus?
Not at all, but I think the president is accurately saying that Americans are starting to safely and responsibly reopen all around the country. People want to get back to work. They want to get back to school. They want life to return to normal, where we see football coming back. Saw the NFL start on Thursday. We saw some college football yesterday and more pro football today. Americans want to get their lives back. And this is a key differential, George, between President Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden, I think, wants everyone to stay locked in their basement forever. President Trump wants to be safe, responsible, get us back open. This is the key, one of the key contrasts in this race.
What evidence do you have that Vice President Biden wants people to stay locked in their basements forever?
Well, very simply, when he was asked if he would shut down the economy in January, he said yes. He said, if the experts tell me to shut it down, then I will. And that's exactly what I said, George, was if the scientists want me to shut it down. He hasn't said who these scientists are. Even Dr. Fauci hasn't said go and shut it down. That's not something that we need to do. What we need is to safely and responsibly move forward. And developing this vaccine is absolutely critical. And I think it's very dangerous that Biden and Kamala Harris are both trying to throw out these anti-vaxxer type rhetoric, casting doubt over a vaccine, when, look, all of the vaccine makers have come out and made it very, very clear. It's going to be driven by the experts. It's going to be approved by the experts. And that's why we're moving ahead with Operation Warp Speed that President Trump has put into action. 8 different vaccines that are currently in the works. We're going to get America back to normal. We're going to defeat this virus, George.
Well, I mean, and everybody hopes that we have the vaccine tomorrow. There's no question about that, assuming that it's safe. But Vice President Biden said he would take the vaccine if it were safe, if the experts said it was safe, even if that cost him the election.
Well, he needs to share that information with Kamala Harris, who was very much throwing out some different rhetoric last week, and that's why they've changed their tune. But the fact of the matter is that Americans know that President Trump, as a businessman, as someone who cuts through all the bureaucratic nonsense, is pushing us ahead. Think how remarkable this is for a moment, George. The fact that we're going to have a vaccine the same year that we're getting hit by this global pandemic. This is unheard of. And if it was typically going back to kind of the bureaucrats and the swamp monsters and the status quo we've seen from Joe Biden, they'd be going super slowly. You remember back in the swine flu, the H1N1, that even Biden's former chief of staff, Ron Klain, said that it was fortuitous that they didn't have an absolute pandemic, something even worse break out, said they did everything wrong. Americans don't want someone like Joe Biden who did everything wrong the last time they had a chance. That's not deserving of a promotion.
I want to move on. I would point out only 17,000 people died during the swine flu. It's up to almost 200,000 now from the coronavirus. I want to talk about the president's claims that the election is going to be rigged. Yesterday, he sent another tweet encouraging people to vote twice in North Carolina. We'll put that up on the screen right now. Twitter said put a warning label on that tweet. And the North Carolina Attorney General responded as well, saying, do not do what the president directs. To make sure your ballot counts, sign it and send it in early, then track it online with ballot racks. Do not vote twice. It's a felony. Why is the president telling people to vote twice since it's a felony?
Well, let me go and take that in reverse order, George. First of all, the president is not telling people to vote twice. What he is saying is vote early, whether it be by absentee, whether it be early voting that's in person, and then make sure that your vote is counted. Either call or show up to the registrar, call or show up to the polls. Make sure that your vote has been recorded and counted. But let me tell you something, George, about what they're doing to try to steal this election.
Not, vote.
The fact of the matter, hold on, but vote. You vote once, you vote early, and you make sure that your vote is counted. That's what all of us should be able to agree to, George, that every American gets the right to vote and their vote counts. But let me take this in reverse order and go to Nevada here, where we have this clubhouse governor, this Sisolak character, who, by the way, if you go against him politically, and again, politically speaking, you find yourself buried in the desert. They went and pushed through in the middle of the night these sweeping changes to where they're moving to this unrequested mass vote by mail. Plus, they're keeping polling locations open, many of them open. So you're going to have instances of double voting. They're allowing ballot harvesting, which is about a step above organ harvesting. This is some really bad stuff here. But then listen to this. I think most Americans would agree with me that you have to vote by Election Day. You have to. You can't vote after Election Day. That's not how it works. That's exactly what this Assembly Bill 4 that Governor Sisolak put into place will do. They will receive and they will count ballots that were sent and received after the election with no postmark. Think about the fraud and abuse that could happen there. That's ridiculous.
Final question. The Biden campaign outraised you by almost $150 million in August. From August 10th to September 7th, they outspent you on television by 4-1. That has a lot of Republicans, including the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, quite worried. What do you say to them?
Well, you're going to see a big increase in spending from the Trump campaign this week. We're expanding into new battleground states. We'll have ads up in Arizona and Pennsylvania, some great new ads that we just approved yesterday. They're going to be going out the door. Look, we were outspent big league back in 2016, and President Trump whooped on Hillary Clinton, so it was an absolute great victory. It doesn't matter what the Democrats try to spend this year, because we're going to have plenty of money to go and run a successful campaign. We're actually on track to spend more than 2-to-1 over what we did in 2016, and we have some great ads coming showing what President Trump has done for the country in his second term. And this is, again, a key difference between the president and Joe Biden. Joe Biden, I think, wants to stay in his basement with a bunch of old ideas and 47 years of doing nothing. President Trump is going to lead us forward.
Jason Miller, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.